Isagi Yoichi vs Rin Itoshi, standing at the gates of the new generation of World 11 status. With no doubt, these two players are the protagonists of the Blue Lock GOAT debate. Strikers with a rivalry dating back to the beginning of the story. The safe assumption would be to assume they are equals, as they both received a 240 million yen offer for each of their final NEL bids, ranking them both as number one. However, today we will look further into the story to differentiate them ourselves so we can determine who is currently Blue Lock's best player. Now, it is of my personal opinion that we grade a player according to how effectively they perform their role. Both Rin and Isagi play in the striker position, so for the purpose of this video, we will compare feats, growth rate and narrative importance in order to draw a solid conclusion for who is the better striker. The best place to focus this debate is with the most recent arc. We should take an objective outside perspective, then provide context to better appreciate the performances of each player's respective conditions. Regarding overall NEL stats, Isagi Yoichi managed to achieve 4 goals and 4 assists, totaling 8 goal contributions, whilst Rin Itoshi managed to score 7 goals, plus an unknown number of assists. But I think it's safe to assume with the presence of Charles in PXG, as well as the nature of Rin's playstyle, he didn't provide any assists during the NEL. Overall, that leaves Rin with 7 goal contributions throughout the NEL. The more simple definition of a striker is a player specifically designed to score goals, so it seems Rin with 3 more goals than Isagi would take an edge in this analysis. However, this is not to undermine the contributions of Isagi during the NEL, as after all he does have a higher goals plus assists tally than Rin. It seems as though Rin is a greater goal threat, whilst Isagi appears to be a more balanced player. To provide further context for both players' performance for simplicity, I think it's fair to assume both players had equal minutes played during the NEL, as both of them were benched for a large portion of the FC Barca game. Furthermore, there's one more point of contention I would like to negate. You can say Isagi definitely had it worse with the presence of Kaiser, Yukimiya and Kunigami, but we must also consider Rin had to share a team with Shido, who is arguably the best striker coming into the NEL arc after his U20 performance. Emphasis on arguably here. I think Rin has always been better than Isagi, but we have finally reached an end of an era as readers. A regime change, if you will. I think it was quite clearly highlighted in the BM vs PXG game. However, the author decided to give both of them the same final bid to make the difference between them not so distinct. As we know, Rin required both Isagi and Kaiser to stop him when in his destroyer flow, which most recently he attributed some training in learning how to better regulate his emotions, which should improve his flow state further. But what makes Isagi stand out is that he scored twice in the game with the highest stakes. It's like a final of a tournament. If you make it through the knockout games, it doesn't really matter what margin you win your games by. At the end of the day, people only remember the team who goes on to win the entire tournament, not the heroes who are flawless throughout the tournament but failed to project their momentum to the end. Isagi really showed up when it mattered. As the player with the fastest growth rate, he may well have surpassed Itoshi Rin in the final NEL game. And I believe the moment where Noah revealed his true ego and betrayal of Isagi Yoichi was the moment which catalyzed an evolution for him, allowing him to surpass Rin. Albeit by a very small margin, at this point in the story I believe Isagi is the current new number 1 of Blue Lock. We have entered a new era and I don't see Rin claiming this position as dominantly as he used to. Not to say Rin will fall off, but I think his narrative importance is fading and we may only see one more peak before the story shifts into a final Isagi vs Nagi centric rivalry where they will fight to determine who will become not just Blue Lock's but also the world's best striker. Also, did Rin recently foreshadow Isagi surpassing him? In chapter 311, Rin tells Isagi, Isagi, you think you're already the center of the team and everything's just gonna go your way, don't you? Do that after you've completely won against me. Wanna be Demon King? Now this should be painful to read for any Rin fan. Doesn't it slowly feel like Rin is falling into Isagi's shadow? Is Rin slowly being relegated into the same tier as players like Barrel? Think about it. This is not to say Barrel is a bad player, but it will be sad to see Rin become another player ranked below Isagi and a player who's just chasing him like so many others in Blue Lock already. And this is why, ultimately, I currently have Isagi as Blue Lock's number 1, with Rin very closely following behind. As the adaptability genius, I can possibly see the gap widening between the two players in the upcoming arc, but whilst Isagi stands atop Blue Lock, he should definitely remain vigilant, as there is one more player, the symbolism of death itself, who will rise up to challenge the king for the number 1 position.